Well, welcome to another episode of Bargain Saturdays. And this week we finish off Hallmark month by taking a look at the Poseidon Adventure, a mini-series by Hallmark. So again, it's another 3-hour long movie because it's a two-parter. Well, actually, it's 173 minutes, but 3 hours is close enough. And it stars multiple actors, most of which I don't really know or care about because I usually don't follow actors. But we do have Steve Guttenberg as a cheating husband because he's been estranged from his wife, so we do get to see this scene.
It fits! Damn thing fits!
Outside of Steve Guttenberg, the only other person I recognized was Alex Kingston, who's probably best known for her work in Doctor Who, to be honest, as River Song.
Oh, turn it off. I'm breaking in, not out.
I don't know if she should have broken out of this movie, but she definitely has the best line to sum up the movie at the end.
Hard to see any of this as a miracle. A bloody mess is what it is.
And make no mistake, this movie is a bloody mess. It has too many plot threads going on, in my opinion. The terrorist plot thread, and the falling apart family plot thread, and the let's get out of this ship plot thread just don't interweave very well. There's very little payoff for the terrorist plot thread, and it seems like it was inserted just to explain why the ship sank, but it wasn't done in a way that really makes it feel like it interweaves well with the rest of the movie. It is explained that terrorists wanted to pick a soft target to spread terror and panic, but at the same time, I don't know if attacking a cruise ship is the most effective way to go about that. Even if it worked, most of the people on there aren't really American. In fact, the vast majority of the people on the ship are British, it seems, or at least 300 plus of them are. So apparently the crew is very international, and the passengers are very international because the ship sailed from Cape Town. So you have a ship that has all kinds of people on it, with a staff that's from all over the place, and it's just doesn't feel like it connects very well with the whole terrorist gonna get you plot thread going on. And this movie was made in 2005, so terrorism was still a lot more fresh in the American public's mind when this movie was being made. So it seems sort of strange that they don't weave it together very well, or even try to. It seems like it's just there to pad out the movie and to explain what happens later on. But you're almost better off not having any of the earlier stuff and just going with straight out a terrorist attack. It just happened out of nowhere. Because we don't really need to know anything else about them besides they attacked the boat and caused it to capsize. We also have the falling apart family plot thread, like I said, because Steve Guttenberg's cheating on his wife, who's become estranged from him in the movie because he's not a very successful novel writer, while she's a successful owner of a fashion boutique, I guess, called Hip Hop, which is apparently has 120 stores in the movie, and she is the one who paid for their tickets to go on the cruise. Even though it was meant for them to help mend their relationship, it only seems to cause the fray further apart because Steve's character didn't realize that his wife invited a lot of her top business associates on the trip as well, and it sort of annoys him, pushes him further away from her to go as far as cheating with the ship's masseuse. We also have the get out of the boat plot thread as well, because after it capsizes, people try to escape by climbing, I guess, up the ship is the phrase we're going for, even though the ship's technically upside down, so they're technically going deeper into the ship if it was right side up. But they don't really make much use of the whole upside down thing, in my opinion. Outside of a few ceiling tiles they have to step through, like you can say it's like walking through snow. For the most part, all the things seem to be organized as if it was right side up, so it's like if people didn't really think about the movie as much as they should have when it came to the layouts for the various sets. Then again, this movie is mostly hated by people because they feel it's an inferior version of the original 1972 movie, The Poseidon Adventure, and yes, this is adaptation of the same work. And we can assume, since it lifts several scenes, I guess, according to several people that reviewed it on IDMB, or however you pronounce that site's name, that, yes, this is meant to be a remake of the original movie. And it's definitely not superior, according to most people. Most say it's so vastly inferior that it's an insult to the original adaptation. I don't know. I haven't watched the original adaptation, and unless I find it in the bargain bin for under $5, with probably some other movies, I'll probably never see it. I'm not the biggest moviegoer for movies like this. This isn't something I really care for. So I guess you can say it's harder for me to talk about this movie in the retrospect of what came before it. But then again, I guess as some people point out, I really shouldn't judge this movie based on how good it is in comparison to the previous movie, which is considered to be a cinema classic by many. Instead, I should judge the Poseidon Adventure on its own merits, and to be honest, they're just not that good. I wouldn't say it's a horrible movie. It's definitely not a great movie. Maybe it's a decent movie, but its problems is it's very by the book. It tends to play very much by cliches and stereotypes to such a T that it doesn't feel like it has its own identity beyond those. It's such a by the book movie that you end up with it being boring because it doesn't feel like it has much of a heart or soul. Like, there's just nothing about the movie that feels natural. Oftentimes when things happen, you're expecting them. Even when people start dying, you almost expect which ones are going to die and when. Like their names are just written, like it's just sewn onto their forehead. Like this person's going to die first. This one's going to die next. This one's going to die in the middle somewhere. This one will die near the very end. Because out of the entire crew, only 9 people managed to escape. And the only person I was surprised didn't die was the preacher. I'm sorry, bishop, because he's a Catholic. And he sets off a bomb to blow up the other side of the ship when they find it. Of course, the bomb's just laying conveniently where it needs to be. So some of the things that go on, we feel like plot convenience. Like when you watch them climbing from one side of the ship to the other, like over the very fires of hell, they take their sweet time doing it, like one at a time. There's like no rush. It's like there's meant to be some sort of symbolic scene here about how they're being judged, and when they lose their balance and fall into the flames, it's meant to represent them descending into the pits of hell or something. But it's just not really there. I mean, you already knew the terrorist was going to fall in. You could probably guess that Steve Guttenberg's adulterous relationship partner was going to fall in, because you have to have Steve gets together back with his wife plot thread all sewn up by getting rid of his mistress, potentially, just out of the picture. Therefore, they can go back to being a happy family and just forget about everything that happened on the ship. And it seems cheap in that respect. So would I advise watching this movie? Well, if there's nothing else on that's better, then yeah, it's not a bad watch, but it's not a very good movie. Very forgettable for the most part, and I probably have more fun laughing at the people in it based on their past career decisions, as we saw earlier. With that being said, I don't have anything else really to say about the movie. It's not very good, but it's passable if you have to kill time, I guess. But there are definitely better movies that do that. Until next time.